Hey, good morning, everyone. This is the May Agency Technical Administrator meeting for the Chicago COC HMIS. Welcome, everyone. Some reminders in terms of the setup for those of you who are new. Non-presenters are muted. Please use the questions area to ask questions. We'll try to be as interactive as possible. And we'll answer as many questions in real time as possible. The questions should be available in the left-hand side controls. You click the arrow to expand it, type your question in the text area and click send. And again, we'll try to answer as many in real time as we can during the course of the meeting. A reminder that this webinar is not intended to address specific client data situations. Please contact HMIS Help Desk, helpdesk@allchicago.org via email to get any specific client data entry or other situations addressed. And this webinar and the materials, the slides will be made available via URL link that we send out to everyone so that you have copies of the materials as well. The agenda for today, we'll go through the HMIS updates from HUD, any updates from our vendor WellSky, HMIS updates for the continuum of care, go through some things on data quality for the first quarter of 2025, talk about an HMIS staff transition, and address any other questions that you might have that didn't get addressed during the presentation, or anything else that you have in mind. So from HUD, they announced that the housing inventory and point-in-time submission periods opened on May 13th, so last week. And all those reports must be submitted by June 13th, 2025. We may be making some requests of you about data to clean that up, but for the most part, we have all the data assembled, and we'll be filing that prior to that June 13th deadline. We anticipate an announcement. We just made an announcement about a change to the data standards that removes gender and sexual orientation. While the historic data will remain, our understanding is that no fields will exist for future data collection with respect to gender and sexual orientation. And this will most likely be in an HMIS data standards update in the fall. When WellSky changes those fields to align with HUD's definitions and expectations, our HMIS will stop collecting data on gender identity and sexual orientation. A new field indicating sex, male or female, will be added as part of the data standards changes. The All Chicago HMIS team will be updating training materials to reflect these and any other changes. As HUD is our only funder for HMIS, our COC must comply with those requirements. And those changes will require changes to all HMIS reports that include demographic information. So we had thought this was happening through various channels. There've been fairly, at least semi-formal announcements of this stuff, so it looks like this is going to be a reality, and I'll pause here to see if there's any questions. There's a question from Leah asking for the timeline for these updates. I don't think there's been anything formally identified, but typically the data standards updates happen with a start date of October 1st. So as we said in the slide here, the data standards update would most likely occur in the fall. As we get official notification of that, we'll pass that on, but our expectation is it's going to be on a normal sequence. which would be an October 1st start date. Other questions? Okay. We've also heard in terms of HUD updates that the terminated technical assistance contracts are being reestablished with all of the HUD TA firms. This may result in other technical assistance being available to the Chicago COC, but it does not impact HMIS directly. Our technical assistance was uninterrupted during these changes. And as a reminder, the HUD Exchange website no longer contains the HMIS data standards documentation. The HMIS lead meeting slides and recordings and other content is being reviewed by HUD and other new administration personnel. And a reminder also that All Chicago, as well as other folks that you can find on the internet, downloaded the HUD Exchange information. WellSky did as well. If you need any of the documentation that used to be on HUD Exchange, again, please contact the help desk at helpdesk@allchicago.org. Any questions on that? In terms of WellSky updates, WellSky has released updates to reports that are needed for the PID and HIC report submission. So we've been applying those updates as we get them. Still pending are some of the changes that we talked about to interim reviews for housing move-in date, and there's a couple other items, I believe the COC and I can't remember the third one. But those are still pending. We don't have any update on the timeline for those from WellSky. As soon as we get those, we'll pass them along. Any questions on that information? Okay. So from the COC, we submitted the system performance measure report on April 8th. The COC board approved a motion from the executive committee on April 16th that for 3 months to create time and space for the COC to accomplish crisis and emergency work and launch the advocacy committee. All Chicago is going to support meetings at half the current cadence. Committees and work groups can continue meeting if they so choose. So the HMIS committee is now meeting every other month. So they just had their May meeting this week and their next meeting's in July, but there will not be June or August meetings. And for ATA meetings, we're again cutting those in half. And so we'll have this meeting in May and the next meeting will be in September. So there will not be a meeting between now and then. We'll send out updates as we get them for anything that is urgent or critical for you to know about. The HMIS committee also approved having the COC focus on exit destinations as part of the data quality process. We're working on, we had a long conversation with the HMIS committee in the April meeting to make it so that we're not just suddenly having a focus on something that we haven't made the COC aware of, and if there are some training issues or things like that in terms of people understanding it, understand the importance of it, and things like that, that we should probably do that first, and then start focusing on the actual results in data quality. So that's what we're working on, is doing those training updates and other documentation updates to raise awareness of the exit destination data element. And then we'll potentially implement whatever changes are appropriate to the data quality reporting. Any questions on those? Okay. And then an update on the All Inside project. As a reminder, All Inside was established by the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness to assist COCs, and the Chicago COC received a grant to improve access to HMIS data. There was an HMIS portion of the grant that's being applied to change visibility in HMIS to an open visibility model. Different from the current model, where users are generally restricted to seeing data entered by their agency. The HMIS committee approved the work plan for the work and recently approved a new release of information consent form and developing new guidance for users to assist clients in understanding that new form and how HMIS data is shared generally. The idea behind that is to make sure that both case managers or housing specialists or things like that who are talking with participants or potential participants in their projects gain a greater understanding of how HMIS data is used and shared, and what the sharing agreement really means for them. And so that's the focus of that kind of training, is to make that clearer. And the consent form has been reduced from many pages down to a couple. And so we have some work to do on that, but just a heads up that that will be rolling out. Based on experience from the Lived Experience Committee and the Youth Advisory Board, the HMIS Committee also approved having the HMIS team work on creating infrastructure so that individuals can see their progress as they move on the pathway through to housing and verify the accuracy of their own HMIS data. So that's a new project for us that we're just getting ramped up. That was just approved this week. And over the course of the next few months, more training documents and webinars will be produced and conducted to implement the visibility changes. This is a fairly major change to how the HMIS operates, and so we're working through a bunch of things in the work plan and a bunch of things in terms of how we roll this out. But the idea is that that will be rolled out sometime during the course of this year, probably toward the end of the summer. Matthew has a question: how can I get invited to the HMIS committee meeting? So all COC meetings are open to the public. So you don't have to be a member of the HMIS committee to attend. And I believe all of the meetings are announced in the COC newsletter, along with a link to join them. So if you're not receiving that newsletter, I believe there are ways there's things on the website to tell you how to do that. But we can also forward that information specifically, Matthew, if that's okay. Any questions on the All Inside update? Okay. So data quality for the first quarter, spanning the dates of January 1st through March 31st is going to start on June 9th. Submissions are due 2 weeks later on June 20th, 2025. There should be a separate, sorry, Sandra has a question. Will the new release of information still be for 3 years? I honestly don't remember, but we'll get you that that answer to that question. I don't believe any of that was changed, but we can double check and let you know that. So there should be a separate data quality report file generated for each project. The individual files can all be included in one email submitted to the dataquality@allchicago.org. Please ensure the files you submit are in Excel format. And the list here is some of the issues we have with receiving these files and whether they get processed correctly. So please be sure that they're the Excel format and not the PDF of the data quality report. They're attached to the email and not links in the email to your internal file sharing system. Make sure that the data quality reports are not the timeliness report that's sent to you early on as part of the process. Make sure that there's only a single project that's reported in each file, and that the project name and number are on the summary page in row 1, column B. Sometimes we get things that are blank for that sort of thing, or multiple projects in a file. Office hours will begin the week before the data quality process. That's a little bit of a change this year, starting on June 2nd, will end on June 13th. There will not be office hours available during the week of submission, and we'll send an email before the week of June 2nd with a link to book any available time slots. If you want to do office hours, please make a reservation as soon as possible, as the time slots are going to be limited. Erica has a question that all Chicago projects are not included in the DQ process. Should it still submit a report? You don't need to submit anything. It's still not a bad idea to go through the data quality process to see, just for your own tracking and your own analysis of how well people are doing in entering data into the system. But no, it's not required to submit to the data quality mailbox. Other questions on this first slide? So some operational things here, and this is the prompt screen in Business Objects for actually generating the data quality report. This is a prompt for the parameters. So the parameters for this iteration are under the select provider, you put your project ID, and again, one project ID only. The start date is January 1st of 2025. The end date plus 1 day is the day after March 31st, so that's April 1st, 2025. The point in time date is February 13th, 2025. So those are the values for the report parameters that you should use for this data quality process iteration. And remember that you don't have to wait until the process begins to start reviewing data. I know that many of you just came off the local evaluation instrument processing, and so we postponed the data quality a little bit to give everybody a break after they've been doing other data quality oriented kinds of things for the LEI. But again, these reports are available for you to run at any time. And as part of this process, you don't have to wait until June 9th to start the process if you have time available to do it. Any questions? In our last meeting, we talked about the HMIS committee having approved including and introducing the EVA system in data quality so that for the longitudinal system analysis, the LSA report that you have to do at the end of the year, we're not trying to correct a year's worth of issues all at once in a compressed time frame at the end of the year. And so as part of the data quality cadence every quarter, we're asking agencies to run each of their projects through the EVA system. So we're encouraging that to start this time. We don't need you to submit any reports to us. We just want you to go through the process and correct as many things as you can see, and certainly ask us if you don't understand what's on the EVA report. And just note that as we continue to refine and enhance that process, EVA will become more integrated into the overall DQ process. There may actually be reporting on that, but for now, it's mostly spreading the cleanup across multiple months and dealing with it as an ongoing process rather than a once-a-year thing at the end of the year. To use EVA, you generate a hashed CSV file from HMIS for each project for the date period 1/1/2025 to 3/31/2025. And then that hashed CSV is then uploaded to EVA. EVA doesn't require credentials. Anyone can log in and do it. And the areas of focus providers should be reviewing in EVA are overlapping or duplicate enrollments, missing or duplicative relationship to heads of household, particularly as the next one says, too many heads of household or no heads of household, and the enrollment COC, which should be IL 510 in all cases. There's an EVA article at the help desk, and the link to it is there. And I'll check with Alex to see if there's anything that you wanted to add to the information on this slide.
No, so no real information, but just to kind of just talk about EVA for a bit. So EVA is the tool that was developed by HUD that mimics exactly what the data standards reflect. So if you're submitting reports to HUD in other capacities such as the APR or the CAPR, running this EVA report will pretty much single-handedly identify any issues that you're going to have with the data in your project. So again, this is a part we're beginning to add this to the data quality process. But again, you can run this at any time. The date parameters that we have on the slide here is mimicking of the data quality process. But again, you can run this for any date range that is applicable for you. So if you're running an APR, you can run this date range for the APR range and then identify any other errors that might also pull into the APR. So yeah, just a good report to definitely keep on hand and start utilizing.
Thanks, Alex. Again, any questions about data quality in general or EVA in particular?
Okay, so Sherry has a question. When we find duplicate enrollments, do we still report it in HMIS? So in EVA, the duplicate or overlapping enrollments that you're going to find are going to be within your own project. So if you find them, what you're going to need to do is to kind of rectify and figure out which one is the correct entry. If the dates overlap with each other, then that might be a case where the dates might need to be adjusted. If it's a complete duplicate of the exact time range, then in most cases, you're going to want to remove one of those enrollments.
Other questions? If one of the HMIS team can copy and paste the link into the chat, that would be good. It will also be part of the PDF that we distribute from the slides as well. Thank you, Rochelle. I think that's different from the other link that we have in the presentation also. So if you can include the one that's in there. Um, oh, my mistake. That's exactly the same one. Sorry. We're getting through our slides pretty quickly here. So in terms of the HMIS staff transition, I'd like to introduce and ask everyone to welcome Richard Loesch. He joined All Chicago on May 12th, 2025 as the new Director of Information Services and will be leading the HMIS team. I'm retiring effective Friday of next week, and it's been my pleasure to work with all of you. I'm going to sort of put him on the spot and unmute Rick's line and see if we can get him able to talk here. There we go.
Yep, I'm on there. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here with All Chicago and look forward to working with you all. Just in the process of doing quite a bit of learning right now. So thanks for the opportunity here and look forward to working with you.
Thanks, Rick. And that's the end of our meeting. I expected a lot more questions during the course of things, so it looks like we're going to give everybody some time back in their morning. Unless there are any other questions on any of the content from this morning, we're happy to stick around and address any questions. Sandra, thank you. Otherwise, everyone enjoy the rest of your morning and rest of your day. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Sandra, and you're welcome. Thanks, everyone. We'll stick around for a couple more minutes and see if there are any questions. Otherwise, we'll end it in about 2 minutes. Go ahead, Renita. Thank you, Rachel. Alex, do you want to talk about whether something was sent out about the HIC, or how many things have been sent about the HIC that Renita may or may not have received?
Okay, so from the COC standpoint, we started collecting the HIC information, I believe, starting in February. And we sent out a link with a form that was needed to be completed per project. If you're referencing from HUD, HUD has announced the housing inventory and point in time submission period, which is going to be which started May 13th and ends on June 13th. So we're in preparation of getting that submitted.
Alex, do you have the data from Renita's agency? Are we missing anything from anyone?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what agency, so I will have to look that up.
Okay, yes, that's the for the most part, Renita, that's the extent of the participation from the agencies, is to complete the HIC survey, so we can assemble all that data to submit to HUD. Okay, if there are no further questions, we're going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thanks again, everyone, for your participation, and we'll be in touch about a meeting in September. Thank you very much.